The first game week of FPL is drawing to a close. Today, it is already time to have a look at my transfer plans for FPL game week 2. What is up, everyone? FPL Harry in. Today, as always, it is our game week 2 transfer plans. For anyone who is new to the channel, this is a series I do every single week on a Sunday evening. As soon as the football is finished, I have a look at my team. I talk about some reactions to the games we've had. I talk about potential transfers I'm thinking of making going into the next game week, of course, which the deadline is on Friday. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, please make sure you've liked the video. Please make sure you have subscribed as well. Thank you all for the pre-season support. 73,000 subscribers is crazy to me. But let's dive in. This is how my team is currently lining up for game week 2. So the Pickford-Turner rotation is going to happen. I am going to start Turner in game week 2 at home to Sheffield United and bench Pickford away at Aston Villa. Now, Pickford was quite unfortunate not to get a clean sheet in game week 1, but he does feel like one of those players that I'm thinking maybe was a bit of a mistake in my team selection in game week 1. In defence, we have Chilwell, we have Saliba, we have Estupiñán, all with away fixtures. That's the thing with this team. A lot of them had home fixtures in game week 1, so now a lot of those are away, but I'm still pretty happy with that back three. Moving into midfield, Bukayo Saka, we have Marcus Rashford, we have Bryan Mbeumo, Bruno Fernandes and Gabriel Martinelli as well. Very happy with this midfield 5. At time of recording, it is just about to be kickoff between Brentford and Tottenham. So I know that Bryan Mbeumo is starting. He's actually starting up front in a front 2 with a back 5 for Brentford. Then Erling Haaland and Ollie Watkins as my front 2. Erling Haaland currently with the captaincy armband. Bukayo Saka, after his goal in game week 1, is my vice captain as well. Now, I do my best. This is a slightly different video as maybe we'll do every week throughout the season. I do my best to not use a transfer in game week 1, and I think that goes for a lot of you as well. If you don't need to use a transfer, if you don't have an injured player, a suspended player, or a player you actually really believe you made a big mistake on in game week 1, then I think it is best to roll your transfer. Looking at my squad, there's not loads of players that I don't want to have in my team next week. There are some players that I am keeping my eye on and I would like to transfer in. That's really what we're going to talk about in this video. So there are 3 real players that I'm considering transferring in, and then we'll talk about a few others in a moment as well. The first one is Alvarez of Manchester City. Now, I didn't go with more than one Manchester City player in my game week 1 team because I'm just too scared of rotation every single week. However, of course, Kevin De Bruyne has picked up what looks like a pretty bad injury in game week 1, which will rule him out probably till at least the end of September, which will get you, at least 5 or 6 game weeks without him. And it does seem that Julian Alvarez is the one who's most likely to play that role. It does massively boost his minutes. I think it also does some good things for Phil Foden as well, because he can play in that attacking midfield role, but I do think it's Alvarez who generally gets the most boost. I actually was very surprised that he was only 6.5 million when I went to check. I thought they'd, make his price a little bit higher, predicting these sorts of situations when either Haaland or De Bruyne got injured, and then Alvarez straight away becomes a fantastic option. Now, I don't necessarily think I'm going to do it this week, because to get to him, I'd either have to upgrade from my 4.5 million forward, and I only have $500,000 in the bank, so I couldn't do that, or I would downgrade from Ollie Watkins, but Ollie Watkins has Everton at home, whereas Alvarez has Newcastle at home. Newcastle did look pretty good in game week 1, so I'm not necessarily certain I'm going to go there straight away, but if De Bruyne does get confirmed he's going to be out until the end of September, I think Alvarez at 6.5 is a fantastic option. Next up is a goalkeeper transfer, and I cannot believe I'm considering a goalkeeper transfer so early on, but Kepa is being linked heavily with Real Madrid. It might even be confirmed by the time that you watch this, and if Kepa doesn't start for Chelsea in game week 1, well, that might give us all the confirmation we need. And then Sanchez looks like he's going to be the #1 goalkeeper for Chelsea if that does go through with Kepa going to Madrid. At 4.5 million, a Chelsea goalkeeper with the fixtures they do have on the horizon would be really nice, and it would be a simple move off Jordan Pickford, who I do think is a mistake in my team. Again, do I want to do that for game week 2? Probably not. I'm quite happy playing Turner at home to Sheffield United in game week 2, whereas Chelsea go away to West Ham. So I'd probably wait until game week 3 just to get a little bit more confirmation that Chelsea wouldn't be signing another first choice keeper, and to make sure Kepa is moving on. And the final one is Richarlison, and looking at the lineup for Spurs that's about to start, it does look like Richarlison is going to be playing up front as the number 9, alongside Son on one side, Maddison and Kulusevski as the creators as well. The only thing, again, is in game week 2, they play Manchester United at home, and I don't necessarily have a really easy route to go and get him into my team. If Mbeumo is going to be playing up front, I don't necessarily think I want to go and sell him at 6.5. That could be really nice. Bruno Fernandes, potentially I could downgrade from him to go and get him. We'll wait and see how he does in game week 1 on Monday night. Martinelli, I could also downgrade, but Martinelli looks so good in game week 1. I have no real need or interest in selling him in my FPL team. Although, if I did downgrade one of these guys, maybe I could go and upgrade my 4.5 million forward all the way up to Julian Alvarez. So that is something I'm considering as well. I'm not going to sell Bukayo Saka, and I'm pretty certain I'm not going to sell Marcus Rashford as well. So if I wanted Richarlison, it would be Mbeumo, Bruno Fernandes, or Martinelli that I would have to take out of my team. And then actually 3 players that people are really talking about, and actually some of the most highly transferred in players that I'm not considering for my team at all at the moment. The first up is Nathan Ake. He picked up an assist which was then ruled out. He did get a clean sheet and I think a bonus point from Manchester City. 5 million for a Manchester City defender does look great, but I am just so concerned about the rotation there. He played on that left centre-back role, but Gvardiol will want some time in that team. Diaz and Stones were both out as well, so when they come back, they are locks in that Manchester City defence. So I just don't necessarily think that Nathan Ake is going to be nailed to play for Manchester City every single week. And even at 5 million, you can go and get the likes of one of the Arsenal defenders. You could go and get a Stupinan as well. I just don't think the attacking threat is there, combined with clean sheets, combined with not being nailed. I don't think it's enough over some of the other options we've got. The next one is the Newcastle attack generally and defence as well as being very highly transferred in. But Isaac, the real one that people are looking at after 2 goals in game week 1 against Aston Villa. Don't get me wrong, I think he's a great option, and later on in the season when their fixtures are nicer, we may well be buying into them. Although when their fixtures turn nicer, it coincides with Champions League starting, and Newcastle are seeded quite low in the Champions League pool, so they will likely have a very difficult group. That means there's likely to be rotation when they're only playing one of Isaac or Wilson in their lineup. And between now and then, they have really difficult fixtures, right? So Manchester City away in game week 2, people are mass transferring Watkins out to Isaac when Watkins has Everton at home and Isaac has Manchester City away. I do not understand. Liverpool at home in game week 3, Brighton away, then Brentford at home. 4 really difficult fixtures. They are bottom for attacking fixture difficulty and defensive difficulty over the next 4. I'm not going near Newcastle yet. I might miss some price rises, but with those fixtures, I just don't think it's worth it. And then finally is the Liverpool attack. And Darwin at the moment, before the game has started, is the most transferred in, but he has also not been pictured in training so far last week. He might be fine. He might play. He might be on the bench. I don't know the lineup yet. But 7.5 million for Darwin and the Liverpool attack is so difficult to predict who is it going to be that's going to start. Now, if you can get to Salah, great. He's going to play every week. That Bournemouth at home fixture looks great until you pick a Liverpool forward who then doesn't start in that. Now, if one of them looks great in game week 1, then we might consider it, but I'm pretty certain I'm not going to use a transfer going to any of those Liverpool assets for that Bournemouth. The home fixture of just hide behind a sofa because I think the rotation is too much. Plus, then they go away to Newcastle in game week 3, which is an incredibly difficult fixture. Aston Villa at home in game week 4 looked hard, but then Mings looks like he's out for a long time, which does weaken their defence as well. So I'm not sure how difficult that's going to be. Wolves at home in game week 5 as well is an interesting one. They are okay defensively, but they've just sacked their manager, so we don't know quite what we're going to get from them. I just don't want to buy a Liverpool attacker for Bournemouth at home when I don't know who's going to start. So just to wrap up, basically I am considering both Richarlison and Alvarez and Sanchez as 3 real contenders to be brought into my team over the next couple of weeks. I don't think, unless I get an injury or, suspension in maybe one of the Manchester United players, that I'm really going to do it for game week 2. Game week 3 comes around, Bruno Fernandes down to Richarlison, then potentially going from my 4.5 million all the way up to Julian Alvarez is something that I'm considering, but price changes would quickly lock me out of those 2 transfers. So I'm pretty certain that I'm not going to make a transfer going into game week 2. I would advise all of you to do the same as well. There's not that much that can really change after 1 week unless you have that injury or suspension. So pretty certain we'll just do with this. There are players that I'm keeping an eye on. I would be wary of buying Newcastle players into your team. Let me know what you think. Any questions about your team as well. I know there's loads of questions at the start of the season, so drop them all in the comment section down below and I'll do my best to answer as many as I can before the next deadline. There'll be a 5 players to buy video midweek, then there'll be a team selection video as well later on this week. Thank you all for watching. Like if you haven't already. 1,000 likes on the video is always the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here as well, and I'll be back again very soon.